Oh, hi. I'm home here in Williamstown, where I feel extremely lucky to be in town and lucky to be home. And as I thought about it, I realized I always feel lucky to be here in town and part of this community. And I hope wherever you are that you are also well. My name is Kris Herman. I am a part of the faculty at Williams. I coach softball and I'm an athletics administrator. And I'm in my 17th year here at Williams. I actually count time in season, so this 2020 spring would be my 17th season at Williams. And I wish that we were on the field, but we are not, and yet we're still all here together in some ways. So as we come back together for the end of the term, the last 6 weeks, I begin to think a little bit about the pass-fail option, not option, and really note around that issue and just the issue of getting back to school how encouraged and inspired I am by students and faculty alike in their creativity and commitment and the things. Those things are really important in sports, and they're important in every angle of our world here. So I appreciate that. And it really got me thinking about pass fail and how in sports, where 50% of the people, essentially, in most team sports, one team will win and one team will lose. Why do people love sports so much and commit so much to them if they're really risking failure almost every time out? And to me, it's obvious that it's worth it, but it was interesting. And I think the answer is in the sense of community and shared experience and perhaps the risk, the excitement that's involved. So I thought a lot about our team, and I wanted to share some things with you in a nod to the very silly movie Wedding Crashers. We made a set of rules for the Williams softball program. So because clarity is queen at all times, we'll start with rule number 26, which is we play Williams softball. When people ask, hey, you have a game on Saturday, who are you playing? Although we've prepared for the other team and we certainly know who's in the other dugout, we don't concern ourselves too much with them. We play Williams softball. So when we've made that the number one thing really important to us, then we are required to define what does Williams softball mean. Because as rule number 59 says, being intentional about being intentional is a key to success. So we start out by defining them and the things that are most meaningful to us. And rule number 31 says rare is rare. Most things have happened before. And I thought about that because really it's one of the few rules that has a current exception. We are indeed in super rare times right now. But even in rare times, commitment to a common language, to your people, and to the standards of a community are still important, perhaps more important than they were before. So by taking the steps to be clear on what we want and the details of what Williams softball is going to be like, rule number 10, which says, say what you mean, we arrive at the clarity that we need in order to be successful. And for us, the clarity is defined in 4 concepts, which form the acronym CECiL, C-E-C-L. We actually put the I in there just to make it easier for everybody to know exactly what it means. But the first C in CECiL stands for communication. And we believe in lots of communication. And what that looks like is being direct, going to the source, saying what you mean, as I said earlier. And what it doesn't mean is withholding honest assessment or waiting to talk to somebody a few days longer than you should. The E is for enthusiasm. Enthusiasm is the name of the game, not just in sports, but in life. If you can show up on time and prepared and be ready to go, that goes a long way right there. Make eye contact, talk to the people around you, and have your eyes outside on the greater good. The second C is for consistency. Consistency is the key for many things, and we like to define it as doing what you said you're going to do, showing up every day. And inconsistency is, on the flip side, is also pretty obvious to know, but also very, very easy to slip into. So we like to be really clear about what that means. And the fourth thing, the L, is, as rule number 91 says, and we're not for the first time, all you need is love. So by loving your people, loving the game, loving the process, then that really does move you forward. Seems obvious, but many of the things that are obvious are things that go unsaid, and we feel like we should say them on the outside. So CECiL is a set of standards, and rule number 51 says that if you're part of our program, CECiL is not optional. You don't get extra credit for reaching the standards. I think that's really important. So I talk about what our standards are and what our main things are, and I encourage you to think about what are your main things. What are the things that you really value, that you think are most important in how you operate to be at your best day in and day out? If you do them well, what would they look like? If you fall short, what does that look like? How will you know? Because, rule number 70 says when you turn on the lights, the boogeyman goes away. So what's your light switch? I think it's a really good question to ask ourselves on a regular basis. In this time of the unknown and the big picture, we can control our day-to-day, and I think that's the most important thing we can do to give ourselves some anchors. So here are some rules you might want to consider as you do that. Rule number 22, working harder is not always the answer. And the corollary, work number 23, is less is more. Famously, John Wooden said, our rule number 9, be quick but don't hurry. Another way to think about your day-to-day as you decide how you want to be and what you want to do in this time. Also, remember rule number 53, everyone matters. And rule number 54, everybody plays better when they know that they matter. So this might be especially important if you're in close quarters with people that you're not used to being in close quarters with. So to be clear, and obviously that is the goal, to be clear, make every day your game day. Rule number 38 says there's nothing like game day. Be where your feet are, rule number 85. And importantly, take a deep breath, look around, and see what you can be grateful for and try to make each moment better than the last. Rule number 44 says be your own best friend and be your biggest fan. I think that will go a long way too. So be clear, take a deep breath, have the most fun. Have a great day.